today's world, it is hard to imagine life without electricity. We wake up in the morning and pick up the phone, then go to the kitchen and turn on the kettle. While watching videos from the laptop, electricity accompanies all our lives. Lighting indoors and outdoors, household appliances, small electronics, the work of huge factories, vital industrial production, medical equipment, and much more. All of these things function only because of electricity. But let's fantasize and imagine what would happen if we were deprived of it for a whole year. Imagine you are sitting at home, watching this video, sipping tea or coffee. What could be better? Nothing portends trouble when all of a sudden the screen suddenly goes out. You wiggle the mouse, nothing. You poke the power button, still nothing. You must have accidentally unplugged the power cord. You checked it, but it's still there. You were so busy trying to turn on the computer that you didn't notice the room was dark. The house is suspiciously quiet. 2. You can't hear the refrigerator. The fan in the corner isn't working. You notice the router lights are no longer blinking. That means the power is out. You decide to wait for the power to come back on, and in the meantime, entertain yourself by playing games on your phone, not even realizing that it will be turned back on very soon, and the world will change beyond recognition. A person can live without food for a couple weeks, without water for a couple days, without air for a couple minutes, but without electricity, it's hard to say. It all depends on where you live, whether you have survival skills, and how important amenities, like stores, where food is stored and sold, are to you. And that's where they get there, thanks to factories that have established mass production, or farmers who grow it themselves. So, first day without electricity. There's still some charge left on my phone this afternoon, but no connection. No one thought the communication towers would fail, which means no calls even in emergencies. Internet is gone too. You no longer have offline games. Fast communication with friends and family is also lost. Your phone is now just an expensive calculator. You go for a walk to pass the time and take your mind off what's going on. Maybe you'll meet someone you know and think together about what to do next. You go to your favorite coffee shop. Why not grab a latte? But the barista turns you away as soon as you cross the threshold. Sorry, our coffee machines aren't working, he says. It was obvious. You wander aimlessly down the street, trying to catch a connection. You, like everyone around you, stand staring at screens in confusion and despair. As you walk down the street, you overhear other people discussing a terrible accident at a busy intersection. Traffic lights are also out of order. Cars will suffer the same fate once they run out of gas. You can refuel at gas stations, but they are also closed, as well as cafes, because they also need electricity. And then you decide to go home. Evening. The first thing to do is to take a hot shower and wash off this strange day. But there's no water, and the flush button on the toilet doesn't work. Yes, the utilities aren't working anymore either, and that's a lot scarier than just no lights, no TV, no playing on the computer, no scrolling through social media, nothing. The silence is depressing, and you wonder what to do. You could read. You light a couple of candles, look out the window to see if there are lights in the neighboring houses. It's never been this dark in the city before. All you see are the dimly lit windows in the house across the street. The people around you have taken out candles too. You went out on the balcony, looked up and saw the stars. Without the lights of street lights and houses, the night sky looks amazing. Why don't we usually see stars in the city? Pollution is to blame. Not industrial pollution, but light pollution. Look at the sky tonight. It's not black anymore. In the cities it will be yellow-orange. And if we drive a little outside the city, we will see, in the distance, the glow of the city we left. The light from cities spreads far beyond their boundaries. Therefore, to see the starry sky as our ancestors saw it, to see all the constellations, we need to get as far away from civilization as possible. The second day of a new life is coming. The perishables in the refrigerator have already gone stale. You've thrown out the milk, the eggs, the cheese. The same thing has happened to refrigerated and frozen foods in stores and restaurants. Within a few days, all the food in town will spoil. You decide to walk to the nearest supermarket. Maybe you can get something else there. You'd better have cash. The terminals don't work, and neither do the ATMs. Anyone with money in the bank has no access to it. Emergency generators around the world have already failed. The most powerful models will last a maximum of 24 hours. Life in factories has come to a standstill. Food production for 7.5 billion people has stopped. But 2 weeks go by without power. Kitchen cupboards and pantries throughout the town are empty and panic sets in. Many people have gone to loot local stores. You need bottled water. You decide to leave town, but you can't fly. The airports are closed. At least you have gas left in your car. But there are hundreds of thousands of people fleeing the city, and you'll be stuck in traffic all day. Your route is to a relative's country house, where you hope to get help. Meanwhile, a whole month passes without electricity. The world economy is collapsing. Commerce, banks, trade, government, and personal debts are all gone. Utilities are down and garbage is left right in the streets. Rats have crawled out of the sewers. This is their town now. It's a good thing you're long gone from this chaos. Meanwhile, 3 months have passed. You're getting used to it. You know that there is no way to just set up a farm that is viable. Like many others, you have turned to your relatives for help. You are fortunate that your distant uncles and aunts have lived in a house with their farm all their lives with no connections, but you will have to help them with their household chores. Gone are the days when you could just pay for food. Now you have to earn it through physical labor. And so 6 months go by. Small communes have formed everywhere. People raise water from wells, and through farming and fishing they have food. There is no more money, and the world returns to barter. If you need a sheep, I will exchange it for a pig. Mankind began to wean itself off electricity and find advantages in the new way of life. Suddenly, day 365, the lights came on, or did it? Unless, of course, the equipment in power plants is still running after a year without maintenance. Probably not. As soon as everything was fixed, the power came back on. It will take at least 10 years to fully restore the economy, infrastructure, and industries. So, to summarize, without electricity, we would be back to the life we led before its invention. Now let's find out, what if natural electricity, such as lightning, disappears? Our planet is hit by about 50 to 100 lightning bolts per second. We need them every time a flash lights up the sky. It generates ozone. Is that word familiar to you? Yes, it's a layer in the atmosphere that protects the Earth from harmful ultraviolet and cosmic radiation. What other kind of electricity exists on our Earth? Electromagnetic fields, of course. Let's go back to the moment when you were watching the video and the electricity suddenly turned off. If all electricity disappears, that is, not only the electricity supply, but the electrical energy itself, all your magnets will fall off the refrigerator. All because they will lose the power of electromagnetism. Since there are no more electromagnetic fields in the universe, things will quickly go south. It's electromagnetic fields that make atoms and molecules material matter. It's what makes up everything in the world. All the objects around you and you. If you don't have this magnetic glue, then everything will disintegrate and dissipate. There will be no more time and no more light. So we've established that molecules are made up of atoms. Electrons spin around the atom. Not only are they spinning, but they're also repelling each other because of the electric charge. That's where the name charge comes from, and that's necessary to hold back the most powerful force in the universe, gravity. It squeezes everything around it. So if the charge in the electrons disappears and they stop repelling, gravity will squeeze them with such force that a black hole will appear and consume everything. Even if you're lucky enough to survive, you won't see anything because gravity also absorbs the photons, particles of light. There will be absolute darkness. Everything will become nothing. And it will be like that for a whole year, although the concept of a year will also cease to exist, because gravity will distort not only space, but also time. Let's imagine that a certain amount of time has passed and electricity has returned. What happens then? A big bang. The universe will be reborn. Electrons will start repelling again, and atoms and molecules will interact as before. But it would take billions of years to put everything back the way it was. It's still a good thing that your device from which you're watching this video still works. And all of the above is just fantasy. Write in the comments, how quickly could you adapt to life without electricity? There are many other interesting videos on our channel. Subscribe.